So in today's video, we are going to be discussing the biggest losers of NFL free agency. Now, before we get into the video, please like and subscribe, and we'll just jump right into the video. So the first team that I have as a loser of this free agency of the offseason so far is the Seattle Seahawks. To be honest, they are a team that was really bad last year and are really not in a better off spot right now. They are far and away the worst team in their division right now. They lost Russell Wilson. They traded him to the Broncos. They released Bobby Wagner, and it really felt like the two pieces that you could rely on, both defensively and offensively, are gone. It's kind of like the glue that held that team together, and they're no longer there. It's the last two remaining pieces of the Super Bowl winning team that the Seattle Seahawks had, and they're no longer there. So the Seahawks, they're in a full-on rebuild right now. If Drew Lock's your quarterback, you're basically admitting that you're really not going to be a competitive team. Let's be honest. Drew Lock, whatever you want to say about him, he's not really a starting caliber quarterback. He got benched in Denver for Teddy Bridgewater. He lost out on that starting job. So he's really not that good. And just basically having Drew Lock as your starting quarterback basically means you're in a full-on rebuild. No matter what Pete Carroll says, the Seattle Seahawks are in a full-on rebuild at this point. They were able to sign a few key pieces back on the defensive side of the ball, but if you look at the offense, they had a bad offensive line the last couple of years, and now that Russell Wilson's gone, they really don't have a quarterback. So the Seattle Seahawks, as bad of a mess as they were last year, I think Russell Wilson was the only thing keeping them from completely blowing up last year. And now that you got rid of him and you still have Pete Carroll, who, as much as I like Pete Carroll, he's light years behind the NFL and the way offenses are being played. It just feels like the Seahawks, they took a massive step backwards, especially in that division with the Cardinals, Rams, and 49ers. So if you look at the Seahawks, they are in a much worse situation than when this offseason started. Then you have the Green Bay Packers. Now, obviously, they still have Aaron Rodgers, who re-signed that contract, and he's one of the best, quarterbacks in the NFL, top 3 quarterback in the NFL. There's no doubt about that. But you look around the team, their defense, they were able to re-sign some key guys on their defense, keep some guys around, but they also lost Darius Smith on that defense. They weren't able to re-sign him, which I think is going to be a huge loss. He's a great player, and so not having him on your team is real. I think it's going to hinder the defense a little bit, but he also didn't play much last year. He only played in one game last year, so Zadarius Smith-wise, he's not really the biggest issue when it comes to this team. It's just something I wanted to point out. When you look on this side of the ball, or the side of the Packers in a major issue right now, major holes, is the offensive side of the ball. Trading away Davante Adams in a trade that I personally didn't see coming as a Chiefs fan. When Tyreek Hill got traded away, I didn't see him getting traded. I didn't really see this happening because, again, they franchise tagged Davante Adams. He wasn't going to play on that franchise tag, but you also had the entire offseason still to work that out, but nothing got worked out, and they just traded him straight up to the Raiders and got some draft compensation back, and I still don't think they got enough in return for Davante Adams. They got a first and a second round pick, and I don't think that's enough. But then you look at the makeup of this offense, you have Allen Lazard as your number one receiver, and I'm sorry for the Packers. Like, people thought the Chiefs were in a bad spot after Tyreek Hill got traded away. I think the Packers are in a disastrous spot right now, at least when it comes to their wide receiving core. And I think just what they lost on their offense alone is enough to be concerned. And then you have Aaron Rodgers' side of it, who I love Aaron Rodgers. I think he's a very fascinating personality, very fascinating dude. But when you sign your extension knowing Davante Adams isn't going to be back, that's a little bit weird in my opinion. Still, to me, the most confusing thing that Aaron Rodgers has done this past year after everything that has come out, this right here was the most confusing thing Aaron Rodgers has done. And I think the Packers, even though their division is weak, you could make an argument that the Minnesota Vikings are the team to beat in that division right now. And then you have the Dallas Cowboys. They are literally just losing absolutely everybody right now. They traded Amari Cooper. They lost Cedric Wilson. And then on top of that, you have Dak and Zeke, who were overpaid. They lost Randy Gregory after originally having a deal with him, and then he backed out of that deal because of the wording, and then he ended up signing with the Denver Broncos. And then they lost La'el Collins on their offensive line to the Cincinnati Bengals. And it's just an absolute mess right now with the Dallas Cowboys, to be honest. And they're lucky that their division is so weak as it is, because if not, I would be pulling my hair out if I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. I really would. And then on top of that, you have the drama with Jerry Jones. And then for me personally, something that I believed in this entire offseason, the fact that the Dallas Cowboys scapegoated Amari Cooper for the way the season ended, when you still have that head coaching staff, and you still have the coaching staff that consists of Mike McCarthy, who approved the play that they ran against the 49ers And the way they lost against the 49ers to blame Amari Cooper is just baffling and insane to me. The Cowboys are a complete mess. They're still going to be an overhyped team next season. I'm sure people are going to have their fun jabs, but then the media, they're going to be like, oh, the Dallas Cowboys are a favorite. It's just how it is. But they have a lot of issues. They lost a lot of pieces, and they still have 2 players that are massively overpaid on their team. And it's going to be really hard to build a team for the Dallas Cowboys right now, especially with all the crap that the Cowboys have went through this offseason. And I think far and away, the biggest loser of the entire offseason isn't a team, isn't an organization, it's a player. It's Baker Mayfield. I think Baker Mayfield by far is the biggest loser of NFL free agency of the offseason so far. Everything going on with Baker Mayfield is a complete mess. I was even reading today because I wanted a little bit more on this. I wanted to formulate it more of an opinion. And then I saw that Baker Mayfield wanted a contract extension last year. The Browns didn't do that. Apparently there was a report that Baker Mayfield threatened to sit out this season. Then you have Baker Mayfield requesting a trade, and then the Browns denying him a trade, and then you have the Browns talking to Deshaun Watson, and then you have the Browns trading for Deshaun Watson, which basically leaves Baker Mayfield without a job right now. So Baker Mayfield, I mean, for a guy there's 2 sides to this. I don't think Baker Mayfield is as great as Baker Mayfield thinks that he is, but I also understand the side of Cleveland Browns fans who support Baker Mayfield, that he's lifted up that team and got them their first playoff win in years. There's 2 sides to the story, and I very much, as a sports fan, understand both sides. I know it can be hard sometimes, but I really do understand both sides. If Baker Mayfield, if you're desperate like the Seahawks, you would definitely go for him. If you're the Cleveland Browns, who just upgraded at quarterback, obviously you're going to move off of him. And for the Browns in their situation, obviously it's very shaky with him and Baker Mayfield. And for them, they thought the best situation was just to move off of him. Now he's still looking for a trade. So basically he's on the Browns right now, which he doesn't want to be. He hasn't been traded yet. And he's just sitting there with an organization that basically told him that you're not good enough. And now he's just looking at their new toy. And he's probably very upset right now, which is very understandable. Your job, your career is being messed with. In a way, I can understand that. But Baker Mayfield himself, even that long post that he posted on Twitter, I felt like Baker should have just sat low, worked this behind the scenes, and then if he had a press conference, let it out. Be honest in a press conference. We can kind of figure it out as sports fans what's going on. Obviously, if Baker was quiet and then he went to Seattle, for example, talked to the media and was like, yeah, I was upset because Deshaun Watson came in. I mean, it's pretty understandable that a player is going to be upset, but when you put it all out like that, you don't really make yourself look good in the public eye. So for Baker Mayfield and just everything that Baker Mayfield has dealt with, I think he by far is the biggest loser